Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the AfterShock EpiCenter live stream. I'm your host and the communication specialist here at AfterShock Comics, RuthAnn Thompson. So we have a jam-packed show for you today. So we'll be talking about not only the new titles coming out for tomorrow's New Comic Book Day on Wednesday, May 25th. We're going to talk about the titles that you need to add to your pull list, a new announcement about a convention we're going to this weekend, and then we'll follow up with the reviews where I talk about in depth the titles that came out last week. And hello, Nathan Duncan. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you on board. So let's jump right into it with our brand new title from none other than Juan Doe, Spectro. So this is a beautiful 48-page oversized one-shot horror anthology with actually 4 different stories in it. And if you aren't aware of Juan Doe's work, we had a great interview, conversation with him a couple years ago. He's done a lot of our cover work. He worked on Dark Ark as well as his own title, Bad Reception. And now we have this very scary title with 4 different stories in it. So the 4 are: 1, what is at stake when a sentient technology manipulates a man with projections of his desired self? 2, what are the consequences of excommunicating a member of the 9 planets? 3, what is discovered when an explorer travels to Mars to ascend the tallest mountain in the solar system? And 4, what happens when a scientist aboard the International Space Station is confronted with the most horrifying aspects of humankind? And we did a little interview with Doe, and he said, Spectro is my spin on a horror anthology. And like all horror stories, it plays with primal human fears. And with this book, I focus on some specific themes that I wanted to inspect. The fear of social failure and its consequences. The fear of not being recognized, appreciated, or seen. The fear of success or giving in to your ego. The fear of hope, of believing in something good that may never come. All these stories fall into a sort of cosmic karma category. Ooh, wasn't that alliteration? And I was very excited to explore that under this banner. Spectro as a title or theme is in reference to spectrography, which the breakdown of the spectrum of light, and I like the idea of spectrum stories with both visible and invisible that could be explored. And if you haven't seen his artwork before, I absolutely adore it. It's just so wonderful and clean and intense. And Nathan Duncan says, I've read it already. Damn, it's good. Black Mirror, anyway. Yes, it's very similar to Black Mirror. So he actually did cite both Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, and Creepshow and Tales from the Dark Side as inspirations for the stories, noting that he also hoped that to invoke vintage sci-fi pulps as well as EC Comics. So all of that, it's an excellent book, so make sure you pick it up at your local comic book store tomorrow for New Comic Book Day. Also coming out for tomorrow's New Comic Book Day on Wednesday, May 25th, we have Naughty to List number 2. So this continues this very fun, different look at our old Saint Nick. And this is written by Nick Santora and artist Lee Ferguson. So Nicholas, an immortal, depressed and pissed off Santa, and his right-hand elf, Plum, heads to Antler Downs, a run-down racetrack, in the hopes they will learn who is using the naughty list to brutally murder people. You know, just like any other Christmas story that we've seen, right? But the patrons who frequent this shady establishment have their own plans. Unfortunately for them, Nicholas and Plum didn't come here to play any reindeer games. And one thing I absolutely love about this title is that when it comes out in its trade paperback form, it'll be just in time for Christmas. So what a lovely Christmas present to all the youngins out there. I love this title. It's so much fun. Next up is one of our biggest titles this year for New Comic Book Day tomorrow, May 25th, which is Land of the Living Gods number 4. I cannot get enough of this title. It is so gorgeous, and just I love being so entrenched in the mythology and the spirituality of Southern African stories. It's just so wonderful. And this comes from writer Isaac Mogajane and artist Santos, who's also from Brazil, and it's just so gorgeous. So as Nadeli learns the truth behind Lutho's shocking abilities, Kalos starts executing a mysterious plan of her own. But in order to pull it off, she will have to confront the ghosts of her past and strike dark deals with people she swore she would never look upon again. Meanwhile, with her perceived powers slowly fading away, Shandu's witch, Baleka sets her eyes on Nadeli and magical properties harbored by her various body parts. So we're getting into some pretty dark stuff, and we just really, I want Nadeli to be able to get on her journey and be able to find these, the land of the living gods and everything. It's just, it's wonderful. Forrest Bates says, last panel of Naughty List #1 made issue 2 a must buy. Absolutely. Like, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read the first issue, that you're like, no, I can't. When is the next book coming out? It's so good. And then Nathan Duncan says, this is true and more relished original story that I'll always treasure. Absolutely. Such a wonderful story. So moving on, we have trade paperbacks that are going to be available for tomorrow's New Comic Book Day as well. We have Search for Hugh, the complete series. So if you missed this, this is a really wonderful, like, blending of 2 different genres that I've never even thought possible. So this comes from co-writers John Sui and our avid AfterShock writer Steve Orlando, and artist Rubine, who has just, we're working with him again on another project. Absolutely gorgeous and intense artwork that really portrays this mob story that's like incredible. So Aaron lives for his family and might die for its sins. So when Aaron left the military, he wanted to help out his parents who are aging and their bar is experiencing hard times. But one night after he's only spent like a little bit of time with them, it gets shot up and his parents are critically injured in the attack. But what they didn't know, or what he didn't know until this, is it wasn't just an ordinary robbery, but that Aaron's mother is actually, she had fled China to escape this crazy blood feud between the Jewish and Chinese sides of her family, both of which are powerful, organized crime families in China. So peace did exist for a little while after she escaped, but then it just completely fell apart and it's been broken. And now Aaron has, but to protect his parents, has to actually go to China and like just go for it. It kind of has like a little bit of flavor of some Shang-Chi stuff without all the magic and fun of that. But this is fast-paced, action-packed exploration of a complex cultural history is powered by a bloody family feud. And this volume collects all 5 issues, including all the great incentive covers and any of the extra content in the back. Brett Schreckner from Graphic Policy says, I have to give the creators massive props for digging into history here. The story is great, pacing is awesome, the characters are interesting, the action is solid. One of Steve Orlando's strongest debuts. Highly recommended. Thank you, Brett, for that amazing stuff. And Michael Regan, yes, very fun stuff indeed. Next up for our last trade paperback that's going to be available for tomorrow's New Comic Book Day is another very action-packed title, but on a totally different level, which is Seven Swords, the complete series. So this comes from writer Evan Daugherty, who you can absolutely tell writes for film and TV because it really feels like you're watching a movie with this. And we have artists Ricardo Latina and Federico Dolicchio, which I love his name. And this is all your favorite swashbucklers coming back. So it's basically, we got D'Artagnan, and he's the last surviving member of the Musketeers, but he's drawn into a final conflict with the wicked Cardinal Richelieu, who's now looking for power in all the wrong places, and now he's looking for power in the supernatural. But the last Musketeer can't defeat these infernal enemies alone. So he then gets all this group together of swashbuckling heroes, including Don Juan, Captain Blood, Cyrano, de Bergerac, and others. So this group of 7 swords must overcome their differences as if they had any hope of thwarting Richelieu's diabolical plans. So if you can't get enough of the Musketeers and all that kind of stuff, highly suggest this title. The artwork is so much fun. JP from Biff Bam Bop says, pulp heroism in all its unbridled glory. I absolutely agree. It's so much fun. And Briar Greener also agrees, 7 Swords, great story and awesome art. Don't miss this one. Absolutely agree with that. There's also some incredible new #1s fast approaching. So while you're at your local comic book shop tomorrow, make sure to add these to your pull list. So we have There's Something Wrong with Patrick Todd #1. And so that's going to be in shops July 6th, and it has a finer order cutoff of June 13th. And if you liked Ed Brisson with his work with us and all of his incredible work, he is back again, and this is a fun, terrifying story, and all we can say about it right now is just get a hold of yourself before Patrick Todd does. Dun, dun, dun. And next up, for something you've got to add to your pull list, if you're a fan of Thompson and Ian Marin's work, Brother of All Men #1. So this is a very different title for Zach. This is a horror story based on a period piece, and not as much, sci-fi or fantasy type stuff like Zach usually does, but very pulpy, very intense stuff, because we all have our demons. What? And for the announcement this week, we are headed to London this weekend. So the incredible Joe Pruitt and Mark Hammond are headed to the MCM London at the London Excel this weekend. So May 27th through 29th. We're going to be at Stand, which I absolutely love in Europe and in the UK. It's not booths, it's stands. So we'll be at Stand N1261, so that's 1261. And we're going to have a convention exclusive of Dogs of London #1, featuring an exclusive cover by Andy Clark himself. So, and we're going to have people signing there all weekend. So any of our British fans out there, please head there. Plus, we also have a panel on Saturday, May 28th at 5:30 p.m. And it's going to be on the creator stage for Read Dangerously, the Aftershock Creators Panel. It's going to be featuring Peter Milligan, Paul Jenkins, and Dave Johnson, and hosted by none other than our favorite Joe Pruitt himself. And it's just going to be so much fun. I'm sorry to miss it. I wish I could be there. And fantastic. So I can't wait for you all to see everybody in London. It's going to be a great time. Now it is time for where I give all the spoilers to the titles that came out last week in our weekly update for reviews. All right, welcome back, guys. So if anybody hasn't read these titles from last week's New Comic Book Day, just skip this. I don't want to spoil stuff for you. So Kaiju Score, the second issue of this, the second volume, which is Steal from the Gods. This title, guys, usually I'm a little lukewarm when it comes to, a second series of anything, whether it's a new season, a new show, I think I'm liking this second volume even more than the first one. So following Michelle has been so much fun, and seeing her grow and become so badass. I mean, if you guys read the first issue, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And now she has to do the thing she promised she would never do again, is facing down kaiju. And not only kaiju, now she's going for the grandfather of these kaiju, which are basically like Cthulhu-like beasts to steal from inside their belly, where there's a Spanish Armada ship that has been perfectly preserved in this giant monster. And it's just, I love this so much. Hello, Paul Dunn. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. We're just talking about Kaiju Score #2 that came out last week. And it's so great seeing her grow. And it's so unfortunate that now she has to do all the things she promised she wasn't going to do. Now she's basically started a war with another mob just so she can get her crew clean and safe. And I love this title so much. If you guys have read it, please let me know your thoughts as well. And then last week we also had, and then JG Smith says, I can't say Kaiju Score normally. I have to say alleged Kaiju Score. Yeah, I think that's the appropriate way to say it. It's absolutely. And it's also so fun and exciting because, for those that don't know, the first volume is being turned into a Sony Pictures full-length movie, and the Gunn brothers are writing it. So who better? So I really hope we get a sequel too, because I really want Michelle to just shine. She's so great, so good. And then next up for our reviews from last week, we have Clans of Ballari. So if you need a good old-fashioned space opera, epic story, the world building this is incredible. So many different layers of dealing with socio-political stuff, as well as just the technology and everything, because it seemed like a good idea at first to have all the planets be basically their own unions, right? So no person or clan can leave the system, no person or clan may do the designated work of another clan, clans may not merge, and any person that breaks the primary law shall be made an outcast. So of course there's going to be a little bit of problems there. And I absolutely love following the story that basically this one guy was supposed to just leave this baby girl to die and instead adopts her. And she's technically from another clan, but he tries to raise her within his clan, but then she wants to be a pilot. So she takes over and she changes everything. So if you ever want just a really fun story that's just deeply enriched in this sci-fi world that you just want to escape for a while, absolutely pick up this book. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well. The artwork is so wonderful and intense and colorful while still having like that dark backdrop of space behind you at all times. It's a very fun one. So for all those who didn't pick it up last week, make sure you hit up your local comic book shop this week and pick it up. So as always, everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being a part of the Aftershock family. We'll be back every single Tuesday, so make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be safe out there. Wash your hands, wear your masks, keep your distance, and only read dangerously. We'll see you next Tuesday.